Good morning, everyone. For me and my chunky turtleneck. I wear this sweater an embarrassing amount of times throughout a week. It is my all-time favorite from Free People. It is pouring down rain today, and I'm sitting out in my office listening to Evermore, of course. Pause. Notice how I always cut out when I say the given A name that causes everyone's music player to freak out. So what are we up to today? Well, first of all, I feel like I have a lot of makeup under my eyes, so I gotta handle that before I talk to you guys, because otherwise it's gonna drive me nuts when I'm editing. So first I've taken you into my bathroom so I can fix my face. So first going to take off the mascara under my eyes and then we will go from there. Good morning, everyone. So I gave myself a little headband as well because I really need to wash my hair. I was hoping to wake up this morning and go for a walk and then, you know, sweat a little bit and then wash my hair, but it is pouring down rain and I'm not sure if it's going to let up at any point, so I need to check that actually. Wow, it's supposed to rain until 4 p.m. so that's awesome. Anyway, so it is Monday as I'm recording this. I've just been sitting here honestly scrolling on my phone. I'm just going to say it honestly. I awoke this morning. I did one of those things where like the first thing I did when I woke up was lay in bed and scroll, and I really hate doing that and I try not to. I try to get out of bed before, you know, being dragged into the black hole of scrolling through Instagram and get up and, you know, get food in me, get coffee, things like that. I don't know what came over me, guys. It's always like one little notification and I just click on that and then it's just like down a black hole and then I end up on some random person's page that's like someone I follow's great niece or something. I don't know how it happens, but anyway, so that was my morning and now I'm sitting here making up for lost time. Real talk. But yeah, so now I have put on my moisturizer. I'm sitting here in front of my computer looking over the notes that I typed up last night because I had this like sudden urge to research for this week's podcast last night. I don't know what came over me, but I stayed up till, I'm looking at the timestamp on my note right now, 1 a.m. typing out notes for this new episode that I'm working on this week. My dad is in the kitchen doing dishes. Made myself my usual DIY cold brew, aka Trader Joe's cold brew with almond milk, and I'm just sipping it. It's not as good as this insanely sugary drink I got yesterday from Starbucks, but I feel a lot better about this. I feel like there's not like 700,000 calories in this. Yeah, it's going to be good. I was really just, I don't know what came over me, but I was very interested in researching the significance behind a white wedding dress in the West, because of course we know a lot of Eastern countries don't wear white wedding dresses even now. And I was so curious about why a white wedding dress. For a while I thought it was because white kind of symbolizes purity and all of those things, purity, virginity, like that sort of stuff. But apparently, and I know now after my intense research last night, that is not the reason. Or the initial reason for it. It was adopted by us Americans, but when it was initially kind of started over in Europe, that was not the reason for it. So if you're one of those people that is just randomly curious about things like that, like me, you will enjoy this week's episode. Like, I find myself curious about things that don't even like concern me at all. Like the fact that I probably won't be an engaged woman for like 10 years. And I'm just curious about this stuff. Oh my gosh. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I did want to share in this little morning update clip of this vlog a few different books that I got over the weekend, because I picked up, well, I got 2 books and I've been reading one book that I wanted to share with you guys. So the book that I'm currently reading, the fictional book that I'm reading, is called Dear Mrs. Bird, and it's by A.J. Pearce. My copy is pretty tattered because I bought this copy used from thriftbooks.com. It's a really great website, not sponsored, but you can get books for really cheap and it doesn't fund places like Amazon, you know. That's where I got this copy from. So it's based in 1940s London, so like around the war. So basically Emmeline, or Emmy, that's her nickname, had this dream of being a war correspondent. So, you know, being on the ground in the war, reporting on things. Like, she really loved writing and things like that. And she went to interview at this agency where she thought that she would be hired as a war correspondent. Turns out some wires were crossed and she ends up at this women's magazine where she's reading, you know, it's like Dear Miss Bird, that's what it's called, the column where women write in with their problems and Mrs. Bird answers the problems. But Emmy doesn't feel like Mrs. Bird is doing all she can. She's kind of skirting around really important women's issues and things. So Emmy wants to take things into her own hands, kind of, and that's all I'll tell you. It's definitely a feel-good sort of book so far, and I genuinely don't really know where it's going to go. I'm halfway through, so that's always good. I always love when I don't know what's gonna happen. So yeah, check this out. A follower recommended it to me because I love my historical fiction. So yeah, I got that. And then I also picked up Trick Mirror by Gia Tolentino. The hardcover version has a yellow cover, I think. This book has gotten all sorts of awards. I had a follower DM this to me as well. You guys know me so well. So I haven't started this one yet, but I will let you know what I think about it. Essentially, there's a lot of really important issues that she talks about in here, but she's apparently hilarious based on the reviews I read. So it's kind of her bringing to light social, cultural issues like the internet and our obsession with self and things like that, but she has a really great voice. So it's called Trick Mirror, Reflections on Self-Delusion by Gia Tolentino, and it's a collection of essays, which is really cool. So you can read kind of just one at a time or however you want to read it. My stomach just growled. And last but not least, I picked up the Book of Moods by Lauren Martin. And if you guys follow Words of Women on Instagram, that's like an account I post from all the time. So it's a lot of quotes, and Lauren Elizabeth actually interviewed her on her podcast. I got this in the mail and I frantically texted Lauren Elizabeth, and I was like, you need to read this. And she's like, Katie, did you hear my podcast episode where I interviewed Lauren Martin? I'm like, no, I missed that one. She already knows about it. I read one section and I was so compelled to share it with my friends that I just like posted it in our group chats. She's a few different sections, and one of the sections that really made me think was a section on beauty. And on page 52, if you have your copy in front of you, I feel like I'm a Zoom teacher right now. The chapter title is Stop Thinking You Know What You Look Like. You're so used to your features, you forget how beautiful you look to a stranger. And it kind of goes into how, you know, we've seen our faces so many times. We become so used to seeing our features in the mirror and seeing us as we've seen ourselves in the mirror, kind of an inverted, flipped image our entire lives. Although we have seen ourselves in mirrors, which for many, many years, people didn't have the luxury of having a mirror to stare into, but now we do. And even though we do, oftentimes we don't even really know what we look like because we've seen ourselves so many times, and our faces start to morph into something that isn't even us, and we get so just obsessed with certain features of ours that we don't like. And she includes little snippets of things from history. So there was an interview with this man, David Hartman, a journalist, and Audrey Hepburn. He asked her, if you could change anything about yourself, what would it be? And she was like, I wish I had smaller feet. I hate having big feet, and my friends have pretty feet. And this is like the prettiest person ever. Like Audrey Hepburn, I have her picture on my wall in my room. She's being so critical of something that I never even thought about. Like feet, what? Haven't fully gotten into this one yet either, so I can't give a full review yet. But overall, these are the 3 books that I am working on right now that I would share, because I feel like I haven't shared any books so far in Vlogmas, so it kind of spices up this episode a little bit. So yeah, I'm just sitting here enjoying the sound of rain. Can you hear it? I'm drinking out of this really small coffee cup that I got as a sample for my clear coffee mugs that I'm working on designing, and I think it's just too small. Like my hands are very small, so maybe it looks proportional in my hands, or proportionate, is that how you say it? But it's just far too small. Like this is not a normal size for a coffee cup that you like put under your Keurig or your Nespresso or something. So gotta go back to square one on that, but I just thought I would make use of it. So I've just been sitting here working on some lettering. I'm brainstorming for those clear coffee mugs I just talked about a little bit ago. Trying to test out some new lettering styles that I can use on the mug. Here's another version with some all caps. I'm kind of leaning towards the other version though. Let me know what you guys think. This one here. It's kind of rough. I'm gonna polish it up and make it more aligned and such. I even doodled a little face while I was listening to Taylor Swift and just kind of zoning out. So, and now I'm like really thirsty and I'm really craving something very specific. Like, let me know why this is just my sudden craving right now. Apple juice, 100% juice. I also really love Arizona tea, but this is the last one in my fridge, and I know my sister will freak out if I take the last one, so we are doing some damage control with apple juice instead. Like, why is this just the best thing ever? Maybe a little more. It's pretty sugary, but it's so freaking good. So freaking good. And I just realized actually that I fully just like never made my bed this morning. So I'm gonna do that now because it's kind of driving me crazy. It's going to be weird going from sleeping in this bed, which is a full, to going back to California and sleeping in my king size bed. Such a different experience. Being able to like roll around. It's definitely different. Also, waking up to the cat. I do miss Piper, Julia's cat. I have missed that. Okay, pillows. Voila. I am putting my apple juice down. I hope that that doesn't get kicked over. So I wanted to show you guys my outfit today. This skirt is fun. It'd be even more fun with like tights and knee-high boots or something, but the skirt is actually super high-waisted, so with another outfit, I might even tuck in a shirt to this or something like that. Sweaters from Free People. I've been living in this. I've been wearing the same sweater like over and over again, so I think I deserve some new colors of this sweater because it is so freaking cozy. The skirt is Free People also, but it's from Nuuly, so I rented it. It's a nice velvety fabric. Yeah, this is the outfit of the day. So here is what happens. I have my microphone. Whoa. So this is a Samson microphone. It's the Samson Q2U microphone. I got this from Best Buy. Comes with a little cute stand. I put this thing on it. I like it because of how it sounds. I can't really put my finger on what is so different about it, but I feel like my podcast sound sometimes sounds a bit different than others, and I attribute it to this microphone. I like how intimate it sounds, if that's possible. This is something I never even considered before having a podcast, but there's certain like ways of saying things and syllables that sound really unpleasant in your ear when you're listening if your microphone is not a good microphone, or if you are too close to the microphone, and it's usually the P sound, or sometimes like the B sound, or just anything that kind of puts out air in like a quick motion. It's very interesting. I only figured this out because I have a podcast. I never gave this any thought before, but there's certain syllables that really don't sound cute, so you have to have one of these things on top. It's kind of, I think it's called a pop guard or something. I don't know what it's actually technically called, but the microphone came with it, so it's really nice. And I think this is actually traditionally used for like singing and recording your voice for songs and things. So because I have the new MacBook, I had to get one of those little adapters that plugs in so I can plug in the USB to my computer. So I got one of those, I plug her in, so I put all of my electronics far, far away so I don't get any distractions from those. Those have been known to break my train of thought. So then I open my notes in one tab, I close all my other tabs on my computer, and then I open up Final Cut Pro. So here we have Final Cut. This is my video from yesterday, so I'm going to close out of that. And then once I do that, we have a blank canvas to create a nice new episode here. So I go Window, Record Voiceover. So this little guy pops up, then you'll see there's my microphone there. Right there, and then I just connect it to mono channel 1. I find that that sounds the best. And then I start recording, and it usually takes me about 2 hours to record a full episode. And this is kind of taking account for when I stop and need a break to like just pause and collect my thoughts and things like that. So yeah, guys, that is the prep that goes into podcasting. I'm drinking this tea. It's from the tea advent calendar that I showed you guys, and I've never had this before. It's Wonderberry Green. It's pretty good. As I was looking into that, just an avalanche of questions kind of bombarded me. Like, why something blue? Why something borrowed? Why do people kneel on one knee when they're proposing? Why not 2 knees? Why 1 knee? Why all these things? I just finished my podcast. I just sent it out to be edited. Why am I just like, I'm sitting here like just holding my microphone? Why? It feels cool. I'm not gonna lie, I just stumbled into some negative podcast reviews. It was very weird how it happened. It was like I just finished editing the podcast, and then I clicked on something within an email. It brought up the Apple Podcast page for Thick and Thin, my podcast, and then I saw a bunch of like negative reviews put on there
like very recently, the negative ones really stung. And so I was sitting there just kind of like, oh my God, people hate me. People hate my podcast, all these things. Because I kind of have pivoted my direction for the podcast into being something more where you leave each episode feeling like you've gained something, or you've gained like a story or a new mindset. You can be the ripest, juiciest peach in the world, and yet there will still be people who don't like peaches. So I always keep that in mind. I also keep in mind that if you live your life trying to please everybody else and do things how everybody else would do them, you kind of lose the opportunity to figure out who you are. So that is what we're dealing with now. I'm actually freezing, so I had to turn off the heater in here because it makes noises while I'm podcasting and I hate the audio situation. So yeah, I'm gonna actually probably go finish up this work in my bed because I can, and because it's 8 p.m. I sit on this like backless stool. So yeah, I need a proper chair. That is something I should get. And I'm also wearing like a workout outfit because I did squeeze in a walk, which I didn't document, unfortunately, but I did squeeze in a 45-minute walk. In the middle of recording, I took a walk break. I needed it. I needed to get my blood pumping.